Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of the Blood Red podcast brought to you by the Liverpool Echo with me, Theo Squires. Now, this week I've been out and about speaking to Liverpool legend Steve McManaman ahead of the game with Sparta Prague on Thursday. He's been put up courtesy of TNT Sports, and there's been plenty to talk about with McManaman. He's obviously a Liverpool legend and one of the greatest success stories from the Liverpool Academy, having starred for the club for 9 years before going to join Real Madrid, winning the Liga titles and the Champions League. He's actually got an unofficial role at the Academy these days where he's helping out coaching the next generation, working with the likes of Jadon Dans and Lewis Kumas. So we speak about how he's enjoying seeing the youngsters step up this season and have such an impact for Jurgen Klopp's side, from winning the League Cup to scoring the first goals for the club and featuring the Premier League. But that's not all he's spoken about in this exclusive interview. He's also had his say on Jurgen Klopp's looming exit from the club, the possibility of Xabi Alonso replacing the German in the hot seat. Now, Alonso's a man he knows very well, having played against him during his playing days and also on the same team since they've taken up Legends duties with Liverpool. And he's also spoken about Michael Edwards being linked with a return to the club. The two of them actually live quite close together, and McManaman reveals how they had a little conversation about the latest rumours only last week. So yeah, hopefully it's an enjoying watch, enjoying listen, wherever you're paying attention to this podcast. Sit back and enjoy. I'll go straight in on to the Academy. Obviously, you're a Liverpool Academy graduate yourself, and it's been an amazing season for the guys down at Kirby. What have you made of it?
Like you, mate, like everybody else, very proud of the lads. They've taken their opportunities when it's come to them, and they've been a credit to the Academy. They've been a credit to themselves, and long may it continue. They've been put into these positions because of circumstances with injuries, and they've all performed fantastically well, added to the history of Liverpool Football Club winning the Carabao Cup. And, I've all made themselves, names now on the lips of all the Liverpool fans. And that's all you can do. Grasp your opportunity, go and play well, and then probably step back when everybody starts to get fit again. Because, of course, I've said on a number of occasions, you've got people like Tyler Morton, who's doing really well on loan at Hull. Fabio Carvalho's there, Luke Chambers is on loan. Owen Beck's gone back on loan. And maybe if they were here, they'd get the opportunity. So it just shows you that the club's in a really healthy position at this moment, Sam.
Out of the current crop, who's impressed you most this season?
They've all done really well, mate, to be honest. Bobby Clark's done well. Of course, James McConnell's done well. Jadon Dans, I trained with him 3 weeks ago in the under-18s, and now he's winning trophies. So he's done incredibly well, and he's probably the youngest and the least inexperienced because, James, who's only jumped up to the 21, certainly Bobby Clark's been with the first team, as in being in and around the first team and trained with them a lot. So, Jadon's the one with least experience. But I wouldn't necessarily, pinpoint one of them. I think they've all done really well as a group, to be very honest. Let's be honest, once the first team, everybody's back, they're probably not anywhere close to the first 18. But the fact that they've been given their opportunity and they've gone in and done it, speaks volumes for their attitudes and their work rate and, their willingness to listen and work hard. And I think that's all you can say for them.
Obviously, you do a bit of coaching with them. And if we'd had this conversation 2-3 weeks ago and I'd asked you, who's the next one do you reckon is going to break through and make the impact? You'd probably say Jadon or Lewis. But now people have seen what they can do. Who else is the next one to come?
Who's the next one? Well, to be honest, funny enough, I went to the Youth Cup game the other day, and of course, 4 or 5 of them should have been bloody playing, and then they go and lose. And to see a lot of the lads after them losing to Leeds, some of them were devastated, and it's even that's hard to take. So, out of the group who lost the other day, there's you don't want to name names, but there's a few doing okay. They just need to keep on working hard, mate. That's all. But I want Jadon Dans to, play 100 games for Liverpool. I want Louis Kumas to play 100 games for Liverpool, because playing 1 game and 2 games, you know your stuff. The amount of people we've seen play 1 game for Liverpool and 2 games for Liverpool, and 3-4 games, and then move on to different clubs. You want to see these kids play 100 games. That's the next step for them. 50 games and 100 games, is the next thing for them. Not just 1 game here and then move on. You want them to make a career at Liverpool Football Club if possible. It's going to be difficult, But that's what you want them to do in the end.
Obviously, Klopp's leaving in the summer. Pep Linders, Vita Matos. Is that going to have a potentially uncertain impact on who comes in next? Whether the production line is still going to be as fruitful?
No, I don't think so. The production line is the production line. If you're good enough, you'll certainly be given the opportunity, and I don't think that'll matter. That, Liverpool have had people come through the academy for the last 30, 40 years. I don't think that'll be a problem at all. If anything, everybody, from the under-18s, the under-21s to the people on loan, once they all come back in the summer, there's a fresh start and a fresh opportunity to try and impress the new manager. So that'll be different. Of course it will be. But I don't think that necessarily a new manager will have an impact on the academy. The academy will keep producing the players if they can. Mark Bridge-Wilkinson, the under-18 manager, Barry Lutus, Jay Spearing, who's helping them out, ex-Liverpool player. They know the right path for them to get to the first team, and then it's up to them then to train with the first team, and more importantly, impress the first team manager and show him, what they can do, and that's what they've done with Jurgen. Many people have gone with the first team and trained with them, and Jurgen sent them back because they're not good enough. So you need to go and impress him, and that would be exactly the same for the new manager, whoever it may be.
Obviously, you were breaking through into the first team when Kenny Dalglish quit all those years ago. How's that shock factor compared to Jurgen now?
Well, it's probably on a bit of a par, really. I think even the most ardent Liverpool fan would not expect Jurgen to be at Liverpool in 5 years. I think we all knew he was gonna leave, whenever it was. Of course, whenever he announced it, it was always going to be a bit of a shock. With the Kenny thing was completely different, because it was sort of, one day he was there and the next day he was, that was it. He was going to leave. So that was a huge shock. But, it's just part and parcel of life, really, isn't it? Pep Guardiola's going to move on sooner or later. He's not going to be there in 10 years' time, and that'll be a shock when he announces it. And I think that, when these managers announce things like that, the fact that they leave at the highest level, that's all that we're really shocked about. If he was languishing 17th in the league and people were shouting at him, that wouldn't be a shock if he was to leave. But the fact is, he's leaving at the very highest level, but he's leaving at the club. He's leaving the club in a wonderful position, financially very healthy, new stadium up and running. Hopefully getting into the Champions League. I mean, we should be in the Champions League next year, and that will bring more finances, particularly with the new model of the Champions League next year. So he's leaving the club in a wonderful position, extremely healthy. The new manager just has to carry on, and it's going to be hard, going after Jurgen. Of course it is. You work for the local paper, his impact around the city, not just on a football level, but on a personal level, and how he resonates with the people. That's going to be the hard part. I think that, of course, the football part will take care of itself, but, they're losing more than just a football manager, aren't they, when they lose the Jurgen?
What do you think about potential successors? Xabi Alonso, maybe?
Oh, I mean, Xabi's doing great, isn't he? I know Xabi very well. I'm a bit biased towards him, but, he's 10 points clear. They've never won the league at Leverkusen. I felt a bit sorry for him, the fact that as soon as Jurgen said that he was leaving, all the English turned up at his press conference, and the pressure's on him, but he's dealt with it really well. He's favoured to win the German Cup now as well. So I just hope he's successful. As a friend of mine, I hope he wins the league. I mean, I don't know whether it'll be a bit too soon for him. I don't know whether he fancies the Liverpool job as of yet. 18 months into his career, I don't know. I certainly wouldn't ask him that. I'd leave it to him. But it'd be a wonderful choice, wouldn't he? Of course he would be, with the standing he's got at Liverpool. He knows Liverpool, the city. He worked here, he lived here, more importantly, and he's doing an incredible job at the minute, undefeated. I mean, what can you say? But they'll do the due diligence. People have spoken about Nagelsmann. People have spoken about Amorim at Sporting. People have spoken about managers in Lille. But of course, Xabi's the standout character because he knows Liverpool so well, and I think knowing the city really, really helps you, win the people over.
And it's not just a new manager they need. There's a sporting director and everything behind the scenes as well. What did you make of Michael Edwards, the FSG, trying to have a second go at bringing him back to the club? Do you reckon that could happen?
Yeah, well, I mean, they should. they should try and bring Michael back. Of course they should. And funny enough, I spoke to him the other day about it as well, because he lives by me and I see him regularly. Again, I don't know in what capacity they would want to bring him back. I don't know. I think Michael's moved on than just being a sporting director. I don't know that he hasn't said that to me, but I think he couldn't go back just to the same role he's been doing, for a long time. I think he'd need more. I don't know whether he needs a new challenge. In past comments he's made, it's always the case that he needs a new challenge. The same with Julian Ward as well. I know Jules very well. It'd be great if they could come back and recreate what they've done. Of course it is, but I don't know the machinations of what's going on behind the scenes, and if they have spoken to them, if they've offered them things, if they've offered them various things. I don't entirely know. But of course, Michael and Jules have done an incredible job when they were at Liverpool, and again, they're friends of mine, so I wouldn't say anything bad about them.
We've got two of your former clubs meeting up at the weekend, Liverpool versus Manchester City. What are your thoughts on the title race? How big a game that is going to be?
It's a huge game, mate. Of course it is. It's a huge game. I don't think it'll be a deciding game like it was, maybe 3 years ago, because City have got Arsenal a week later. Liverpool have got, they had Everton, they've got Man United. Liverpool have got Man United and Everton to play, haven't they, as well? So I don't necessarily think it's a be-all and end-all game, but it'll certainly have a bearing, won't it? If Liverpool win, they'll go 4 clear, which of course, is always a nice little buffer zone. If City beat Liverpool again, I don't think that necessarily matters. 2 points won't necessarily matter. There'll be games to go. But of course, it's great the fact that they're so close and it comes around again, because we've been used to this over the last 3 or 4 years. This Pep against Jurgen game, of course, it's going to be Jurgen's last game against Pep in their current jobs. So there's a huge amount riding on it. It's at Anfield as well, which is always, an incredibly special atmosphere. So we'll wait and see. I remember last year's game being as equally as important, and every time they seem to play each other, there's something riding on the games, which is a lovely thing to have. And it's not first against ninth. This is a proper game with the big two, battling it out.
If we look to your playing career, I know there's a couple of moves overseas that didn't happen before Real Madrid. I was just wondering if there's any that you could say that haven't maybe got the public attention before, if there are any offers to come back sooner than when you did return from Real Madrid, whether there was any chance of a Liverpool return, because obviously we saw Ian Rush come back after a year. Michael Owen would have liked to.
Yeah, I don't think Liverpool wanted me back, to be fair. I don't know who was in charge. I think it was Gerrard was in charge, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think Liverpool wanted me back. I think they'd moved on from me at that time.
And then what was it like in that Real Madrid dressing room? Because we go through so many legendary names like Raul.
It was good. They were great, like it would be in any dressing room. The big names, of course, but, when they looked into England, they thought the English teams were full of big names. But, when you look, abroad, you always have this romantic thing in your mind about it all. But the Spanish and the European lads had that romantic thing about the Liverpool teams and the Barnsies and the Rushies and the Ronnie Whelans. They were teams that they were, talking about. So they had a huge amount of admiration for the English teams. But yeah, they were good lads, and that's the most important thing.